Hey, what's up, everyone? I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Here's What I Think with your host, Charles DeBancy. We'll discuss everything from current events, economics, politics, and how it all relates to business and life. And today we have a hell of a show in store for you. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, this is a topic that I really want to get into. As you guys know, I've been following this Diddy case quite closely. And the last time we touched on the case, we spoke about the defense talking about the government not allowing Diddy to have access to his laptop, making it difficult for him to defend himself and all of that. So I've been following it. But then what I saw yesterday really shocked me, right? Because it seems like the defense is not giving up, even though they have been denied bail on 3 occasions. I thought to myself, well, I guess that's it for the year. I guess P. Diddy will pick it back up next year. But apparently I am wrong. I am 100% wrong, because the defense is not resting on its laurels. But this bit of news here is absolutely shocking, because now the defense is making a request for the entire case to be dismissed. And the basis of their request is that the government has actually been impeding on Sean Diddy Combs' constitutional rights, his amendment rights. And they are putting together some type of argument that they want the judge to listen to immediately. And they are trying to file a motion to get the case dismissed. So we have 2 parts that we want to play for you. The first part we want to play is the argument that the defense is putting forward, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what the defense is saying here first. Take a listen to this here.
Worldwide, as the once beloved music icon P. Diddy now sits in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn on federal charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. And it's really Diddy's stay at MDC that's the focus of this newly filed motion, specifically the raids that happened between October 28th and November 1st. During that time, some paperwork was collected from Diddy's MDC jail. Right away, the defense argued this was privileged information, and federal judge Arun Subramanian actually agreed with them. He ruled that the prosecution must throw out all that info and exclude it completely from their case against Diddy. All that happened at a hearing last month, but now the defense is requesting another hearing. Right from the top of the motion, the defense comes out swinging, writing, quote, "The government exploited Mr. Combs' detention by engaging in unfair and unconstitutional tactics that have interfered with his ability to work with his attorneys and make it impossible for his attorneys to provide effective assistance of counsel. The evidence shows the government is using Mr. Combs' detention to spy on him and invade his confidential communications with his counsel." The defense alleges that the government is working with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. It's listed here as the BOP. Diddy's team says the prosecution has teamed up with someone referred to as Investigator 1, the person who initially gathered those papers from Diddy's cell. According to the defense, prosecutors claim they did not request this search, yet they concede Investigator 1 has been investigating Mr. Combs at their direction all along, gathering evidence they have used and hope to continue using against Mr. Combs. Now, the defense says these papers were handwritten privileged notes that basically provided a roadmap of Diddy's defense. These papers would have given Investigator 1 a preview into Mr. Combs' entire defense strategy, his thoughts and impressions regarding the evidence and charges, and other classic examples of work product. So that's things like trial strategy, Diddy's opinion of the case, plans for the defense's investigation moving forward, any questions about the investigation, and even possible trial witnesses and testimony. The motion goes on to say, quote, "This court's intervention is imperative to safeguard Mr. Combs' constitutional rights and ability to defend himself against these very serious charges, because the government has proven time and again that it will intentionally continue to violate those rights if given the chance." The defense even brings George Orwell into their argument, saying the government is using Big Brother tactics and an illegal search of the defense today. With that in mind, the defense alleges Diddy's 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment rights have been violated. To start, there's Diddy's 4th Amendment right. The defense says this was violated with what they call warrantless and unlawful searches of Diddy's cell. This comes up several times, including something the defense calls use and fruit suppression, meaning they're worried the government will throw out the notes they collected, but will still use information from the notes as leads. The motion reads in part, quote, "The government also suggested it could continue to use the contents of those notes in its ongoing investigation." The government thus took the position that while the notes themselves could not be used against Mr. Combs, it could continue to use the fruits of the search against him. According to the defense, that is wrong as a matter of well-settled law. A violation of the Fourth Amendment requires suppression not only of the immediate object of the search, but also any other evidence obtained because of the search. The defense also mentions Diddy's Sixth Amendment rights. Apparently, these were violated because the prosecutors understood the privileged nature of the documents up front, yet proceeded unilaterally and without caution with the goal of taking advantage of their improper access to privileged material to keep Mr. Combs detained and try to obtain a conviction. So basically, the feds knew this paperwork was privileged, but moved forward with it anyway, at least according to the defense. Those two things combined, according to the defense, mean Diddy's Fifth Amendment rights were also violated. The motion reads, quote, "This extraordinary violation of Mr. Combs's Fourth and Sixth Amendment rights also constitutes outrageous government conduct that violates his Fifth Amendment right to due process." So where do we go from here? Well, the defense has a plan for that too. They say a hearing is particularly necessary because the government's description of the events does not align with the defense team's understanding of.
So you heard what the defense is saying there. And by the way, I want to give the credit to where it's due. I got this from the Law and Crime Network, the YouTube channel. That's where I got that sound from. So that's what they're saying there, right? That's the argument of the defense. So what they did was, because they're a very thorough channel and company or whatever, they brought in a prosecution lawyer to basically analyze the argument of Sean Diddy Combs' defense and basically weigh it to see if this is something that could even be palatable. So what we want to do is want to play what this prosecution lawyer had to say in terms of what in terms of the defense's new motion, and then want to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
Well, first off, the government has the right, not necessarily to spy, but to monitor activities of prisoners in jail or in incarceration. And so the government does have a right to ensure the safety, not only of a prisoner, but anybody that the prisoner comes in contact. Here, what may have happened allegedly is that an investigator was acting sort of as a spy and going beyond that legitimate right to investigate safety issues, occurring crimes or things like that, bringing contraband into the jail or the prison. What the investigator is alleged to have done is execute an inspection or search of Mr. Diddy's cell. And during that process, he or she got hold of notes that are privileged, confidential, and protected by the attorney-client privilege. That is a problem. If it was done intentionally, if it was done recklessly.
If this was done intentionally, as you said, huge problem. But how are both sides going to determine if it was done intentionally?
Well, the judge is going to determine whether it was intentional or reckless. But the government is going to argue that we conducted a legitimate inspection of the jail cell because we were concerned about ongoing criminal activity. And during that search of the cell, we came across notes that may have been relevant to why we conducted the search in the beginning. The defense is going to argue it was a pretextual search. It was done intentionally. And then when the investigator went in, he or she went beyond their scope and they seized information and documents that had no relationship to the alleged purpose for the inspection.
So you heard his thoughts. What are my thoughts on this? First of all, I'm not a legal. I don't know much about the law. So for me to say that I think this is going to work, I have no basis to say it will work or it won't work. Do I think it will work? No. The reason I'm saying it is not so much because I understand the various mechanisms that go into law and arguing cases and all of that. No. The reason I'm saying that is because of the precedent that has been set. Diddy has been denied bail on 3 separate occasions. The last time we thought he was going to get bail, well, some of us thought, from the new judge, this overseeing the case, the Indian judge, when the judge said he was willing to even hear an argument from the defense, I thought, well, maybe he has a chance. But then the judge said, no, you cannot get bail, because he said there's no circumstances no combination of circumstances that he feels could be put in place to ensure the safety of the community, right? That was the last time the defense interacted with the judge in terms of him needing to make a decision on something. So for them to now file this motion, it's hard for me to see the judge acting on this. But then again, I am not a lawyer. I don't really know how the law works, right? Maybe there's certain precincts within the law that says, look, if certain rights are being impeded and you're basically taking away people's constitutional rights, then it changes the entire scope and complexion of the case. Then I guess things change. I truly do. Do I think this is going to work and they're going to dismiss the case? I strongly doubt that. Because if something does happen, it will be, if they dismiss this case, the whole internet would break. The entire internet would fall apart. It really would. So I'm following it. I'm trying to give you guys updates as much as I can. And oh, by the way, let me just quickly say this because someone else said it. I just want to state this from the onset. We produce this channel to just talk about things that we generally don't talk about on our sports channel, Dreamers Pro. I'm just talking about things that interest me. I have no invested nothing in this. We don't make any money from this channel, nothing. We're just doing this for fun and passion. So if I say a particular thing that you disagree with, for example, when it comes to Diddy, I would really appreciate it if you stop the silly comments of, oh, he must be paying you too. This is childish. Just because I don't share your view or I don't have the view you want me to have, don't start sending out stupid comments like, oh, so P. Diddy's paying me to produce videos on a video that gets 300 to 500 views. Really? Really? Like, let's stop the nonsense. Let's be adults here. I just wanted to state that because there's some people, for whatever reason, that cannot seem to be able to corral their emotions. Like, let's be adults here. I'm giving you my views, but to get P. Diddy's paying you, like, stop. At least if you're going to do that, put some evidence there because this is stupid. Anyway, these are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next show.